Hello and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. It's Monday morning and I have Tanya Butler here with me. Hey, Tanya.
Hello, Kim.
I am so excited to have you on today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show.
Thank you.
Listen, everyone, we're going to be talking about being a homeschool coach right from the master herself, Master Tanya Butler. So you're going to learn a lot of great information today. Come on into the studio, grab your virtual seats. And right now is a good time for you to share today's broadcast with your friends, your family, your coworkers, and type your comments, ask your questions while you have an expert here on the show. So come in and introduce that you're here and start typing, asking questions. I'll put the link here so you'll know exactly how to join in. If you want to pop in and talk directly head to head with our guest, this is the link that you can use to come right onto the screen. She welcomes it, so you're welcome to come on and do it. At this point, Tanya, you should have already shared it with your friends as well.
I just did.
All right. And we are going to kick off today's episode, everyone. Let me also just say a quick comment regarding the Austin, Texas situation. There are police officers that have been shot, and I think the person that did the shooting has some family members held hostage. So I just want to pray for those that are being impacted in the Austin, Texas situation. I know that I talk about all kinds of topics, but I want to make sure that I acknowledge when things are happening in our communities as well that need our prayer and our attention, okay? So please pray for those families that are being impacted by that situation. All right. Woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have my very special guest, Miss Tanya Butler, here. I'll tell you more about how we know each other, but let me introduce her in a very brief manner because I'm going to give her a chance to talk more about herself in great detail. She is a wife, she's a mother, and beautiful children, very well educated children. I'll say that as a quick nugget. Extremely well educated children, a photographer, and I'll link that to how we know each other, as well as what you are knowing her for today as the homeschool coach. Welcome, Tanya Butler.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kim. Thank you so much.
Are you
Pleasure
so
to be
beautiful?
here.
You're so beautiful.
Oh,
No wonder you're a photographer. You probably just became a photographer because of the fact that you just like, let me take a bunch of selfies.
no, I'm not a selfie person. Not good at it at all.
I know, but you are great at taking photos of others. Tell us, Tanya, about yourself so that people watching will get to know you a little bit more today.
Okay, well, Tanya Butler, Tanya Edie Butler. Edie is my maiden name. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and of course educated in the Detroit public school system all the way up till middle school, the end of the middle school. And of course, after that, my high school career was a parochial school. And then from there, of course, I went to an HBCU, South Carolina State University. Go Bulldogs! Woo, woo. And I am married to my college sweetheart. It will be 24 years of marriage this November. So woo for that.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Thank you.
You all look like you were like literally made for each other. I mean, y'all are like together. When I see you guys together, I'm like, oh, they're a match made in heaven. Officially, I love watching your marriage.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people say we look alike too. I don't see it, but hey, they say that about married couples a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so we have 4 wonderful children. Todd, who's 21, Tylen, just turned 20, Alana, who is 17, and Anaya, who is 15. And of course, we live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We love the Lord. We are very active in our church, and we attend the Living Church of our Lord Jesus Christ, where our pastor is the awesome Apostle Ronnie L. Parson, First Lady Rabina Parson. But overall, we are just a family who just wants to please the Lord and fulfill his purpose. And of course, you already put a plug in for photography. I am a photographer, but more than that, I'm a child of God wanting to do his will.
Woo, woo. Well, shout out to the Parsons,
Yeah.
and very glad that you are here today on today's episode. And I'm excited about your whole journey because there's so much to your story. And we could start anywhere, but what made you ultimately become a photographer? First of all, I'd like to know because people won't get to hear that much about that throughout today's episode. So, what made you even become a photographer? Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, of course, it started with the children, just taking photos of the children. And I think when I had Anaya, after Anaya was born, I was wanting, a better camera. My husband was like, okay, well, we can do that. So he bought me my first SLR camera.
Okay.
And from there, I was just taking pictures randomly, just for people at their weddings and baby showers, and not necessarily because they hired me, but just because I brought my camera. Right. And so after I would share those photos, they were like, oh, this is good. You can do this. I just started, trying to learn the camera a little more, learn photography a little more. And from there, kind of built the business from there.
Well, you make it seem very modest. I was texting something to one of my children, but you make it seem like, oh, just photography. I just got a camera and started. You do extremely phenomenal work with your photography. Let me show you guys just real quick. Tanya's been my family photographer for many years. I mean, I'm not going to put up all of the pictures, but I have thousands of pictures that Tanya did for our family. And for many, many, many years, down to when my children were like newborns. So I'm so excited that I had the opportunity to encounter you, because I'll tell you guys a brief story before we start talking about her homeschool coaching. We were selected as a family to be able to be considered for a show, because there's so many pictures. So I'm just going to tell you about this one. That we were considered to be in a competition for this show, an affluent type of African-American family. And the station was coming from California trying to audition our family to be considered for this show. The other family, and I'll tell you at the end who they were, also auditioned. And they were a Caucasian family, and they were trying to determine the network, which family they were going to go with. So Tanya and a whole team of people came over to help our family convert our home and get prepared for what was going to be this photo and video shoot. And during that time, we took hundreds of pictures, action shots, video shots, you name it, it happened. And I was like, this is a lot of work, wasn't it, Tanya?
Yes, it was.
It was a lot of work, moving
forward all night.
Doing all kinds of photos, you name it, it was happening. And Tanya was the person that officially came to do our family shoot. I'll say that everything happens for a reason in life, and you really never know what the reason is. Tanya knows we only took family photos like what, once every 3 years or so. Mm-hmm. And it was because, hold on one second, Frankie, I need somebody. Tell Jeremiah I need somebody. So when we took these family photos, we never knew what was the outcome of why we were doing it. I was just sweaty. My husband was sweaty. We're like, you know what? Just take the shots, Tanya. I don't care what shot. Don't worry about no special poses. Just get the shot. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Then years would pass by, and we wouldn't take another. You were like, come on, guys, it's time to update your family photo. I was like, no, thank you, because I was very agitated with these family photos. Well, in this particular time, we took another family photo, and that was only because we were auditioning for an international show consideration. Tanya came over to our home, and I'll show you guys. Let me show you a couple of the pictures. I'm just going to show you this main one and go from there. And then we're going to continue on with our interview. This photo, many of you may have seen over the course of life, or it's a photo with our 5 children and my husband and I. And we have lots of other photos that she took as well, but this was the main one that we presented to the network. And lots, we took, it was photos. There's my Brownie, our dog, who's no longer with us on this earth. You name it, it was happening through Tanya's efforts and her work. And she did a phenomenal job. Needless to say, I'm not going to go through all of them because right here alone, there are 85, and she's done this since my children were newborns. And that's another picture in the background there that she took years ago. This photo is important because we never got selected to be the show that they chose. Actually, the show that was chosen is the Chrisleys. The Chrisleys became the show that was picked up, not the Jacobs in that particular case. But that doesn't matter to me because guess what? That was our final family photo together. That was our final family photo together. And so, Tanya, no matter what this interview consists of today, you're embedded in my heart forever, forever. You're part of my family fabric, and you're going to be a part of my life forever because you're the person that took my final family photo 1 month before my son Gabriel transitioned to heaven at 12 years old. We did not know that he was going to be transitioning anywhere when we exercise videos and the different scenes, the prayer scenes of him praying for the world, eating sloppy because he would agitate Ivan and eat sloppy with his burgers. All of this documentary footage that we have is only because God wanted us to have some footage of Gabe. So, okay, that's a whole different show. But thank you. I want to thank you publicly for being a part of our lasting memory of being able to capture Gabriel in our last family photo. That's going to be our memory forever. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I don't know if you know I was going to say that, but I just wanted to say that for sure. All right. So let's talk about homeschooling, everybody. That's what you guys tuned in for today. I just kind of diverted because I need you to know why she's so near and dear to my heart. Okay, so Tanya, you say that you empower parents with tools and strategies necessary for their children to be able to have a successful school year. What is your background in education to be able to even qualify you to deal with this type of thing?
Well, yeah, like you said, that is my overall goal, to empower, to educate, to guide parents. Many times parents, they know what to do, but they just don't know how to do it. And I noticed that even while I was teaching in the school system, you have the homework that comes home and you sit with the children and you kind of go over it. There's so much more that you can do with that. So basically my background goes way back. It goes actually back to kindergarten. Oh. I have been surrounded by education, so to speak. My father was my first principal. So my first few years of education was at my dad's school. So I think I was with him for kindergarten through second grade, and then I went to the school in our neighborhood. Oh. So everything, the ins and outs of education was a part of me from the start. I remember just being in his office after school. Sometimes I was able to sit in meetings that took place after school because, he wanted to keep an eye on me before everybody else was gone. Teachers were gone sometimes. And I was like, I got the front row seat of what it looked like to be an educator, to be an administrator, so to speak. So, it goes back there. But, fast forward, I actually went into college as a political science major. Oh, and my father encouraged me to change my major to education. And, just even in that encouragement, and I want to say it was even when they dropped me off of school, he was like, you might want to consider education. I see how you are. I see how you write. I see how you work with children. Yeah. You can still go to law school, because that was the path that I was trying to take with my political science major, was to eventually go on to law school. But he was like, with an education major, let's just say after graduation, you decide you don't want to go to law school. What are you going to do with that political science major? He's like, at least with an education major, you can still go on to law school if you like. But with this degree, you are sure to get a job. and you are sure to be able to get started in a career, right away. So it was because of my dad, really, that I changed my major and I went on into education. And who knew that I would be here today? Only God knew that I would ultimately homeschool my own children. So I just, give honor and praise to God for even putting that into my dad. And, the scripture, train up a child in the way that they should go. When they're old, they would not depart from it. So I believe that I was trained to be an educator, and that was my path. So yeah, I taught in the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system for a few years. So with all of that combined,
wait, for a few years.
Yeah.
How many specific?
Actually, just 3.
Okay.
Just 3 years, literally just 3 years. My last year of teaching, I was expecting my first child. So the plan was to stay home with him for a year and then come back to the school system. But of course, that wasn't, that didn't go off, quite like that.
So what did I read about? I was reading something that you were 21 years. Is that you're talking about?
Yeah, 21 years. I guess what the combined education from the start of the school system up to now is 25 years of education. So that's the school system. That's, of course, homeschooling included. That's tutoring. That's doing like little private sessions of school. I even started like a little school through our church for toddlers. So yeah, my whole span of education is 25 years. And then if you want to consider the fact that I've pretty much homeschooled my children from birth, that's 21 years of homeschooling.
Wow. So now what made you decide after you go, political science, but then dad convinced you, coerced in a positive way to be able to transition to education. And that's why you're so good as a photographer as well, because you have the patience of Job, I would say. I'm like, how does this lady have this level of patience? I want to get done with this. And you're like, come on, just a few more shots. You can do it. Just do whatever's in your heart. Let your energy flow through. I'm like, what? The girl, cut the camera off. That's why, because you're such a calm spirit, and you welcome children and make them feel at home. So congratulations on that gift. So what made you decide homeschooling versus staying in the school system?
Well, of course, I was already home with the kid, but even, if I just kind of rewind to being in the school system, I just felt like whenever I would have children, I knew that I wanted to do something different. I didn't know what that would look like then, but I knew that I wanted to just kind of be a little free in the way that I educated my children. So, it was almost like I wanted to, because I was already home with the kids and because I was already teaching them, it was actually time for Taj to start kindergarten. And, I was kind of toying with the fact of homeschooling. I had a friend that I met when Taj was 6 months, and we were doing, I think it's Gymboree. We were doing Gymboree together. And I had him in the little Gymboree classes and swimming class. I was going all in for my child. I mean, we did a little bit of everything, but it was in the Gymboree class that I met a friend who, we talked a lot about homeschooling. And her daughter was 6 months too. And so we kind of grew and developed all the way up until, the kindergarten age. And we got to the point of saying, so what are we going to do? Are we going to homeschool our kids? Are we going to send them to school? And we just, in the back of our mind and within our heart, we were like, we really didn't want to do that. We wanted to kind of homeschool. And we would go to different retreats. We would, get material, sit in on different conferences and whatnot, just to kind of get that, that education about what a homeschool would look like. Okay. But ultimately, when Taj was 5, I wasn't sure. I can't say that I didn't have the confidence that I could do it, but because I had another child and a little baby, I had a Taj and Tylen and Alana at this point, and it was almost like, okay, well, I can do it, but how? How am I going to juggle teaching a child how to read at 4? And, I have this baby that I'm nursing. I have my little toddler, Tylen, running around. How's this going to look? So I did get a little nervous about the idea So I took my child to various open houses. We went to charter schools, we went to public schools, we went to private schools, we went to Montessori schools. And with each visit, I left like, it's not what I wanted for him.
Right.
And I would ask him, holding his hand, like, well, what do you think about this school? And he'd be like, we go to another one. So what do you think about this school? You want to have fun here? You can play. It's like, he was never like really enthused. Some kids see all this, all the manipulatives and all the centers, and they're just like, oh, school. But
right.
he wasn't impressed because pretty much I was doing that already at home. So he was not impressed at all with anything. So I prayed about it and talked to my husband about it, and he was like, you know what? If we do this, we're going to go all in. We're going to do it right. And we're going to, make sure we have this school that's just dynamite and out of sight. But I was still just a little bit hesitant, not because I was, unsure of my abilities, but just the fact that I already had a load at home with my children. And I wanted to make sure I gave them all the same amount of care and love and teaching, individually and collectively. So it was time to turn in an application for a private school. And I had it in my hand, the deadline. I waited all the way up to the deadline. And my husband used to call us, in the middle of the day while he was at work, like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? What are you up to? But this particular day he called and he's like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, well, I have the application. I'm going to go ahead and drop it off with a deposit. And he's like, huh? Wait a minute. What? I thought we were going to homeschool. And I was like, are we? He's like, we're going to homeschool. I was like, you sure? We can do this. You got this. Let's do it. Don't drop off that application. And from there, the rest is history.
Awesome. I love it. I actually just took a picture of you, by the way. I screenshot a picture of you. I'm so happy to be able to have a photo that I can take. Look, quickly, just smile for the camera one time because I'm taking your photo. I love it. I get to get you back for one. Okay, so lots of comments are coming in from the studio audience. I'm going to start popping some of them in, and let's see if we can go through and do a flash round. Remember, everyone, if you'd like to come and be a part of today's episode, you can, let me give you that link. You may pop right in, and I can pull you onto the screen as well. But that's me telling that. Okay, wait a minute. Allison said, children have good intuition in some aspects that we often ignore as adults because we think we know better for them. So you can comment on anything you like as well.
Right, yeah, and that is true. Children definitely have a awesome intuition, and it's funny that she says that because it takes me back to when I was in elementary school. My intuition told me that this whole going to school process, something wasn't right with it. And although my parents were following suit and doing like everybody else and sending their kids off to school, deep down in my heart, I felt like, something's not right about this. Something's not right about me every year at the beginning of the year going into this building with nothing but strangers and being left in the care of this individual who didn't know me, didn't love me, and she was pretty much just doing a job. So to Allison's point, we think we know, and a lot of times we follow suit with what everyone else is doing. But when we really zone in on the purpose of that child and what the whole idea behind, molding and shaping a child so that they can fulfill their purpose, we have to step back and ask God to lead us and guide us and not necessarily always fall into the path or the rat race that everybody else is doing. And so for me, I'll never forget, I was going to middle school. It was the first day of school, and my bus stop was right there at the corner of my house. And it was dark outside. Lived in Detroit, so the early mornings was pretty dark. And I remember standing at the bus stop like, I'm getting up in the dark, heading to the bus stop, stand for someone to come and pick me up, take me someplace I've never been. And my trusting parents, like all trusting parents, believe this is just going to be awesome, great experience. And I can't say my education experience was awesome, was great. I had some wonderful teachers, but
Right.
just the idea that we're not a family for 8 hours of the day really stuck to me as a child. And for
Wow.
me, growing up, I always knew I was going to be a mom. I always knew that I was going to be that involved parent. And I always knew that family was going to be the center, with God at the center, but family was going to be super important.
Yes.
Important for me.
And that's so eloquently put, because there isn't a right or wrong way to decide on how you're going to have your child be schooled, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you can definitely choose public, private, charter, Montessori, homeschool, whatever works best for you and your family. And I often tell people that what works well for one scenario in one household may very well not work for yours. So
Exactly.
you have to identify what works best for you. And so I love how you put that. Let's go to some other comments. Sean said, that's so Taj. Something you said about Taj. Taj was like, I'm not impressed about this story. No. Been there, meaning Sean has also been there homeschooling her children as well. Congratulations on 25 years in education, Tanya.
Thank you, Allison.
Bernie says, Dad knew your gift and natural inclination in English, in education.
Yes.
Oh, Ellen. Oh, yeah. Eon Greaves, you should check out today's show. Thank you, Allison. Keep on tagging some more people. Good morning, Kim and guest. It was Providence that you have those pictures taken for prosperity. Yeah, posterity. God is amazing in his working. Yes, he is. If I didn't have that, I would have been really disappointed. So June Griffith, God, good morning from Brooklyn, New York. Good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in today. And great insight, Bernie says. These are all my studio audience members all chiming in. My mom said, good morning, ladies.
Morning, Mom.
God was preparing you even then. Oh, even during your childhood, God was preparing you. Okay, so there's a lot of other comments that'll pop in. Hi, June Griffin. She's a no. Thank you, June, for popping into the Kim Jacobs Show. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the Kim Jacobs Show, make sure you go and subscribe today. Turn on your notifications so when we go live, guess what? You already know that we are on the air Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. until 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you subscribe today. I'll give you that link as well. And then also you can become a Patreon member, and that's after party content exclusive for those that are Patreon members only. And that's patreon.com/The Kim Jacobs Show. And those two links I'll make sure you have before today's broadcast ends. So make sure you subscribe and also become a Patreon member so you can get some after party content. All right. So now you offer services. You again, Tanya, you make it seem so smooth and flawless and simple. But I know, guys, as studio audience members, you guys have to have some questions because I have quite a few. Let me just ask a couple right quick before I go into some other line of questions. When you're homeschooling your children, how are you able to ensure that they stay on task? This is not just like my typical line of questions, but I want to know, how do you stay on task and your children stay on task?
Well, before I even answer that, I just want to, if you don't mind, go back just a tad bit in terms of, when you're homeschooling and what your overall purpose or goal is. For me, homeschooling initially, because I'm an educator, was to kind of build these like little mini geniuses. I was like, okay, they're going to be reading at 3 or 4 and they're going to this and that and that. But then it was like God spoke to me clearly, like, so what's the overall goal?
Right.
What's the purpose of that? To give yourself glory, to give the children glory because they're so smart. What's your goal? And, I kind of sat back and said, I want to give you glory. So the goal overall was to educate children, the whole child.
Right.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, academically. I wanted to make sure that I was presenting them every avenue, every opportunity to grow in all of those areas.
Right.
So when you're homeschooling your child, you want to make sure, to answer your question, that there is structure.
Okay.
That's how you stay on task. You got to have a goal, always have a goal. Really, you want to have a mission. So part of my mission and part of our family's overall objective and vision was to glorify God in everything that we did. We wanted to make sure that the gifts that were being formed and developed were gifts that could be utilized even in ministry.
That's right.
So when you're homeschooling, the way you stay on task is you have a vision, have a focus, have a mission, set goals every day, set goals for the week, set goals for the month, set goals for the year, set goals for those individual lives as to what God is telling you for them to be and how you want them, or I should say how God wants them to impact this world. So when you are structured and when you are organized and when you have a plan and action, that's one way you're going to stay on task. Another way to stay on task is pretty much surround yourself with people who are positive influences, other homeschoolers or other people who have like minds like you in terms of the direction they want to take their family. And when you see that around you, oftentimes that's going to help you stay on target. That's going to help you stay on task.
That's really good. So you're saying to set goals, have a vision, have a mission, surround yourself with other positive, like-minded people. And this is some good information. Tanya, how can people get connected with you? Because I also have a podcast. So if you hear me repeat some of the stuff, sometimes it's only because they can see it on this broadcast, but they're only hearing it on others. So give us a way for people to be able to stay connected with you some kind of way.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned in terms of the type of services, services from as small as like a consultation, just to kind of identify where you are, and as far as your family, as far as your child, what they're learning, what they're working
Right.
on, where you want to take them, all the way up to really going all in and planning your curriculum, and actually me helping you set these goals and good record keeping from lesson planning. I actually even will observe you teaching, because a lot of parents are kind of like, okay, can I do this? And I can be there for you, watch you teaching, and kind of give you some feedback as to how you can redo things, how you can reword things, how you can help your child kind of better get to the point or understand that content. So you can reach me at www.butlersallin.com. Again, that's Butlers All In. And the premise to that is we're going all in. So let's go all in together. Your kids deserve that you will actually take some time and make their life, make their education a priority. So don't just give a little bit, go all in. So again, that's butlersallin.com. And there you will see, a list of services as well as details to what that service actually entails.
I love it. Butlersallin.com. That's Butlers, Butlers, allin.com. And N is spelled out IN. So butlersallin.com is how you can get in touch with Tanya Butler for her homeschool coaching services. This lady is taking it to an entirely different level. And Tanya, there are different types of homeschool teachers. Like I'm only going to use myself as an example because my children asked me to become a homeschool teacher for them. And I was like, wait a whole minute. Wait a minute. wait. I'm not even going to, Tanya, all of my, first of all, when you have, five children on my end, everyone's so different. And so I have those that are like the mayor. Gabe was like the mayor at the school. Oh, hello, everyone. Hello. God bless you. Pull up every teacher. He knows their names. He's Mr. Social Butterfly. And then I have those that are like super duper smart in school, 4.6 GPA, athlete doing this and managing and balancing life, but they're doing good in the public school system, right? So when I get down to my last two children here, Jeremiah wants to be homeschooled. I was like, what? I mean, I I was floored, Tanya. I'm not even gonna, because I never ever thought about homeschooling.
Mhm.
So when this young man, teenager, wanted to become a homeschool student, I didn't know where to start. And I actually started working with a young lady that is another homeschool mom. I didn't even know you were a homeschool coach. What? I've been over here struggling like this.
And it really just started. This is really a new venture. Through the years, I've gotten phone calls or emails or people saying, have a sister who's interested in homeschooling. Could you talk to her? Or I'm starting this out and I kind of need some help. So through this 25 years of education and 21 years of homeschooling, I've been kind of talking to people along the way, families along the way, people like you along the way. And so now it's almost like the need is there so greatly, and even if you're not going to homeschool, the fact that so many kids are doing this virtual learning at home, they're learning at home, there's still a way that you can kind of get in there and do what you can do to make sure they have a successful year. So all this is new. Although I've been homeschooling and although I've been, I guess, consulting with parents along the way, now it's like official,
I can tell you right now, Kim Jacobs is signing up for the homeschool coach services because I need some help over here to understand what I'm doing. I need
right.
one question that I have, and I'm going to get to some more questions here, but I'm going to get a quick 2-minute counseling session here. How do I, and this is butlersallin.com is how you get to Tanya Butler. How do you determine what's the best curriculum? I have a curriculum that I'm using, but I'll talk to you about that offline. How do you determine what the best curriculum is to use? And then also, how do you keep the children on task from the perspective of them going according to the state rules of going to their next grade level? Any insight on that?
So you mean in terms of homeschooling or if your child is in school?
Homeschooling.
Okay, so homeschooling, in deciding the curriculum, you pretty much want to decide what approach you want to take. There's so many types of curriculums and so many philosophies of education. Like you have the traditional, you have what's called classical, which is very comprehensive and has a lot of reading and doing a lot of the classics of literature. You have unschooling. You have the Charlotte Mason philosophy. You have you have like an eclectic blend, which is something I'm more classical, but I do have like an eclectic blend. You have the unit study, you have the independent study, you have the umbrella study where you kind of there's so many different types of ways and approaches to education. So you within yourself as a homeschool teacher, as a homeschool mom, you have to kind of decide, okay, what do I want this education to look like for my child? Right, and from there, you decide on that curriculum. And even with choosing the curriculum, you have to know what your child's learning styles are so that the curriculum kind of points in that direction. You have, the different types of learning styles. You have your visual learners, you have your auditory learners, you have your more kinesthetic learners. So you want to make sure you're choosing curriculums that will help your child learn and grasp the content. And you want to make sure you're choosing curriculum that's kind of in line with the whole education philosophy you want to have for your school.
Well, I will talk to you all about what curriculum I use, and it has interactive videos where the teachers are on there and talking to them, and they have their notebooks and everything. So I'm going to get some coaching from the homeschool coach myself. I love having a guest on the show when I'm personally going to start kicking in with those services. So if homeschooling for the first time, you just kind of went over that, how to somewhat choose a curriculum. You help customize it for the parent. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I can kind of help point you in the right direction in terms of what's good for you, what's good for your child. Okay. And then, of course, you can do like an eclectic blend of curriculum. So you don't necessarily have to stay all classical. You can kind of add a little bit of unit study in there as well. So it really just depends on your overall goal. Parents really need to know, what they want this whole process to look like. And from there, I can kind of help you narrow down the different things you need to make it happen.
That's really good. That's really good to know. You've given me a calm outside of photography. I can't wait to deep dive into the homeschool aspect because we named our school in honor of Gabriel.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that, which makes the children want to perform better because they are performing in honor of their brother as well. So I'm really grateful for that. But then I sure don't want to fail this. I don't want to fail my son's name for the love of God. So I can't wait to learn more. Now, you say that when working from home full time, because you've already done this, you've worked from home full time, which is a full time job for those that want to know. Working from home is still just as much as a corporate job out there, and also balancing homeschooling and your children. How do you recommend moms or parents that are dealing with that balance, that aspect of life?
Well, you'll find a lot of parents who are homeschooling will have at least one, for the most part, parent that's there full time and fully engaged in the homeschooling experience. However, you do find that there are homeschool parents who work full time, but they kind of set it up. I've found through the years that there are a lot of, nurses, doctors, and whatnot that work in the evening. So
Mhm.
there's one parent at home during the day with the children, and then that parent may go off in the evening for work, and they kind of switch it up. So with that, I highly recommend parents who work full time to kind of work it out so that somebody's there with the child to actually teach. However, like now we have a lot of full time parents who are working, who are tackling this whole virtual experience.
Right.
So they have, their computer set, and yet they still have their kids over here in public school or private school with their computer set. So that's a lot to manage and a lot to handle. So I recommend not trying to go at it alone. I've heard of companies who actually allow for extra benefits
Mhm.
or incentives, should I say, from the company to the families that will allow for someone to come in to the house
Mhm.
and be with that child while the parent, because of course a lot of these companies, they want the parents to be focused on their job, right?
Right. Right.
So I've heard around, I've just heard around that these companies are offering a little extra incentive to the parents in terms of finances to allow for a private tutor or someone to come in. So I highly recommend those parents who are tackling virtual education while they're working from home. Don't try to do it alone. Your child deserves to have someone who's fully engaged, who's there to kind of keep them focused and keep them on track. So if you have the opportunity and the means to, even if it's a college student that can come in between classes or whatever, even though we are in this pandemic,
Right.
I recommend having someone there that you trust that will make sure your child stays on target, and they have this structured environment set up for them while they're learning, because it can be difficult.
Yes, it can sound, yeah, I can speak from firsthand. And with three of my children having cystic fibrosis, now with two of them being homeschooled, it's making it more user friendly for them to get through their treatment regimen, which takes about an hour and some change every day, multiple times that day. So it's a pretty rigorous routine that I don't even talk to people about that much. But that's another factor when you're considering homeschooling versus your children. My children were missing a lot of school hours because they were doing what's required just for them to breathe.
Right.
And so then by the time you get to school, it's like, okay, that's an important class that was missed. And they make allowances and everything in school. And I thank God for the schools that they went to because they worked with us. But at the end of
That's
the
the cool
day,
thing about homeschool, though, the fact that you can kind of go at your pace. When you have kids that's a little more advanced, you push them. Kids that need that extra time, you can kind of slow it down. The cool thing is the instruction that they get with this one-on-one time and kind of focus on the educational piece. It far outweighs what they will get in the classroom with several other students and that one teacher trying to cater to all the needs. So you do have that definite advantage as a homeschooling family, to be able to kind of balance everything that goes on in life.
that's good. Now, June said, congratulations to you on your initiative, Tanya.
Thank you, June.
Allison said, I couldn't homeschool, but I did the next best thing, which was finding an Afrocentric school, and that was great for us.
Awesome. And that's the thing. You got to go for what you know. You got to go all in the best way possible.
That's right. June says, learning styles are so important so that your child will not be left behind or labeled in the regular school system.
Definitely.
Tanya, have you seen an increased interest in homeschooling with the advent of this pandemic? I'm thinking that a lot of parents who are uncertain about sending their children back to classrooms right now might be wondering about this being a feasible option.
Yes, the influx is outrageous. And it's mainly because the parents, and I'm sure, and we got to give, a little leeway to the teachers and administrators, because this is all new. This is uncharted territory for everyone. So everyone is trying to do the best that they possibly can. So I think parents and teachers alike are noticing that the instruction that took place in the classroom is much different now. So they may not, of course, it depends on the teacher. Your child may not get everything that they used to get in the classroom because the environment is just totally different. So you're finding that a lot of parents are like, okay, well, since they're home and since they're doing this virtual learning, let me just push that back and just kind of do it all ourselves, because now I have the opportunity to after last semester, parents are kind of realizing that either their children are getting everything they need, they're not getting enough. They may be realizing that, hey, I can do this. It's not that bad. It's not that hard. So yeah, I'm finding that there are a lot of parents who have decided to pull their kids out, homeschool their children, definitely because of this pandemic, for sure.
Well, when I utilize your services, remember that I believed in you as a photographer. I've been on this journey with you for many, many years, so I want some kind of discount, okay? I want to be your guinea pig over here.
Look, just like my people.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you, Tanya.
No, I said, look at you, just like my people.
Oh.
Good plan.
See, I knew I should not have asked what that comment was, because you leaned in when you said it. You haven't leaned in the whole show, and you leaned in on that point. Okay, listen, I want to make sure that people walk away understanding specifically what your services entail. You've shared a lot of great information about homeschooling and what you recommend and the eclectic makeup of all of this, but what are the services that the homeschool coach offers?
Okay, so the homeschool coach offers services that will help you figure out what is going on with this school year. And it's not just for homeschoolers, it's for parents who have kids in school as well. So for the homeschool component, and I would say that every service that is offered can go for a homeschooling parent as well as a parent with a child in private school, public school, charter school, whatever it is. Because here is what we do. We pretty much help you by giving you the support tactics and strategies. So if you're homeschooling, we kind of help you figure out what that curriculum should look like, what your classroom setup should look like. If you're a parent whose child is in school, we help you figure out how to supplement their education. And what is supplementing? Supplementing is pretty much just going the extra mile. You're already sitting with them for homework. You're already going over and reading their assignments. You're already kind of being like a teacher's aide for your students or for your teacher, your student's teacher. But when you supplement, you go a little further. You introduce new material to them, and you reinforce what was already taught. That way, when the child sees something for the first, they're never really seeing anything for the first time.
Okay.
When you're supplementing, you're going beyond the classroom. You're introducing new material to your children. You're allowing them the opportunity to work with that material so that when the teacher comes in to teach your child something new, they like, I've seen this before. So it's like a reinforcement. And if your teacher has already taught the child something, your job in supplementing is to reinforce that, bringing in more material, a different type of material. Your teacher may teach to a certain learning style, but with you knowing your child, you want to introduce different types of learning styles to them as well, because yeah, they're going to gravitate to one particular one, the one that's
Right.
strength. However, to be able to see it in motion, to be able to read it, to be able to actually put your hands on it and do it,
Right.
that just opens up their mind so much more. So with the coaching, I kind of help you as a parent understand what supplement really looks like and kind of guide you in that way. As a homeschooler, I help you with lesson plans. I can do this again with supplements. So really, as I talk about the services, just know it can be interchanged with the homeschooler as well as a parent whose child is in school.
I love this. I love
Okay.
this because what I'm understanding is that your services, so everyone is watching, make sure you walk away understanding that the homeschool coach, Tanya Butler, she's able to help with what she's calling a supplemental plan for you as a parent to be able to help your child if they're in the public school system or private school or Montessori or whatever program of outside of the homeschooling you have. Tanya can actually customize a plan that helps you supplement their learning. That's what I'm understanding, right?
That's right. That's correct. And then you have, your high schoolers who are preparing for college. So if you have a child who is definitely in the college prep stage of their life, I help you with, if you're homeschooling, help you get that transcript going. Of course, you got your college essays that's coming up. You have prep for standardized testing, point you in the right direction, even as it relates to, if I don't do it for you, per se, I know people that I've utilized through the years that can help you, from math tutors, English tutors, writing classes, to scholarship coaching, to just, the whole gamut.
Sean Hall for some scholarship coaching. Sean Hall.
Yeah. So everything possible, from record keeping to, any type of follow-up, from, it's pretty much everything that you could possibly think of as it relates to educating your child successfully. You can call me to make sure we get this thing done right.
I love it. And so people can reach you at butlersallin.com. Mm-hmm. And that's how there's contact information there for them to be able
all
to.
The contact information is there. If you want to email me, you can email me at butlersallin.com as well. But all the information is on the website too.
Okay. And I only go to the website if a person says they want me to. So you would have to tell me that. Other than that, I don't show. The Butlers at butlersallin.com is how you can also email Tanya. When you email her, make sure that you say the Kim Jacobs Show referred you to her, so she knows that you're directly because of being a viewer or getting a referral from someone that tagged you on today's episode. I highly recommend that you utilize Tanya's services. And I know that if it's anything like her professional photography, which is superb, then her homeschooling services will be as well. I mean, your children, I would love for you to briefly talk about the fact that your children are not your average Joe kind of kids either. You haven't talked about that. You have one that's been in jousting. Was that Taj? I've seen some.
Well, it's actually fencing. It's fencing. Both of my boys.
I've seen some incredible stuff. Classical pianists. Talk about your children for a minute.
Okay, well, light up when I talk about my babies, but they're not babies, but they're my babies.
Right.
But yeah, so both of my boys are fencers. Both of them fenced for the NCAA. They both fenced at Division I schools. They're very good at it. Todd, he is the one who, was like I won't say my guinea pig. I won't call him a guinea pig, but he says that a lot. He's like, I'm the first. I was the one where you guys kind of tested the waters out and, whatever. And now with every child, it just gets better and better. And I was like, well, no, it was good with you. Right. So with him, he got multiple scholarship offers academically and athletically. He ended up going to a Division I school where he fenced. So he had a combination of academic and athletic scholarships for this school, and he ultimately ended up putting down his so now I can't even think of it, his fencing blade, and transferred to HBCU, Howard University. Woo, woo, woo. So he is a senior this year. So I actually have 2 seniors and 2 sophomores. So I have a senior and a sophomore in college, and I have a senior and a sophomore that are homeschooled. So yeah, so Taj is our senior. He graduates this school year. He is pre-med at Howard University. He is an accomplished fencer. He's an accomplished bass player. He has played for recording artists. He's the bass player for the Howard University Community Choir. He also plays the bass for a church right down the street from Howard University. He plays for countless artists within the Howard area, from students to adults who have gigs here and there. He's hired to play. So from the fencing to the bass playing, he was on the mock trial team. So he's a very good debater, public speaker as well. So that's Taj. And I have my Tylen, who's also a Division I NCAA fencer, currently at Penn State University. Penn State University. He is my sophomore, and he's also a photographer. He has actually taught me a thing or two.
All right.
My kids actually have a band. I forgot to mention that. They have a band. We've always called it the Butler Four. And so he's the drummer of the band. And he also, as Taj does, dibble and dab in the whole music production scene as well. But yeah, he's my fencer. He has won numerous medals and trophies, and he is at many state championships. He's been a 2-time winner for the Powerade state championships. Wow. So yeah, that's my Tide Pie. He's a sophomore at Penn State. And then I have my Alana, who's a senior, homeschool senior. She is, by this being her last year in homeschool, this is also her second year as a college student at a local community college. So her goal is to, of course, have her associate's degree and her high school diploma at the end of this school year. She is my accomplished pianist. She plays the keyboard for our church. She plays for all of our church groups, from our praise teams to our youth choirs to our mass choir. She is just awesome. She's a performer. She's an actress. She's a dancer. She performs with Narrowway Theater out there in Rock Hill, I believe, South Carolina. No, it's not Rock Hill. It's a little further up. But she's my little artsy person. And then my baby girl, Anaya, she's my sophomore. She is my singer. She has the voice that is just literally out of this world. And you can go to my page and you can see her singing. And she's also a tennis player. Yeah. So her goal is to utilize tennis as her avenue for scholarship, so to speak, and of course academic as well. So yeah, these are my children. They are doing quite well, and I'm proud of them and how they kind of take ownership of their education and their gifts and their talents, and they push it. They don't, just do it. They push it, and they, want to make sure they're the best at what they do.
Oh, yes, you do light up when you're talking about those children. And definitely send a quick shout out to Mr. Butler over there. Say 30 seconds or less about the main man in the house. Go ahead. Okay.
Yes, my main man, for sure. And if it wasn't for him and his encouragement and pushing me that day, I would have taken that application all the way on to that school. But yeah, he is our support. And no homeschool can really function well without both of the parents being on one accord. If the mom is going to be the main one doing the education, that dad really has to be in full support. And without that, it's going to be a struggle. If the dad is the main one doing the education, whereas the mom is going out and being the breadwinner, that mom has to be in full support. So I just thank God for having a husband who has been our backbone, our support system. He has been our funder for a lot of unique and awesome activities and trips and curricula, and just he's just amazing. And without him, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Wow, I love it. See, I'm so glad I asked you about your family. We only have about a minute left. Let me see real quick. Homeschool also facilitates the recognition of early child weak area. The weak area can be correcting in a loving, caring environment and not the impatience arena of the large classroom setting.
So true, so true. So many teachable opportunities when you're homeschooling. I mean, it's just amazing. You get to kind of help your child form in the way that they should go versus all of the outside influences that are usually. I remember teaching in the school system and seeing these little kids come in to me at the beginning of the school year, but at the end of the school year, they're like some of the other kids in the classroom. So
Wow.
homeschooling definitely gives you that opportunity. For us, when we will go out to do various classes and be with other homeschoolers or other families and things of that sort, I was able to, kind of teach the kids right there on the spot where there was a confrontation with another child,
Right.
or someone's not sharing, or, whatever it may be. You have that opportunity to do some positive instruction right there on the spot versus them spending the whole day worrying and thinking about, okay, how am I going to present this to my parents? Did I do that right? Did I do it right? Wrong? It's almost, it's just, I think it's just God design.
All right, guys, how do we navigate virtual school in this pandemic? How do we balance outside activity? I think you've covered a lot of this already.
And with the pandemic, we're just kind of limited to what we can do, but it's amazing how so much is online, so it's a matter of, just doing some research and finding out what's out there so your kids can kind of be involved in different things. And don't forget about their talents, get them in music lessons, get them in different activities where
gardening
in this thing,
Yeah, I got Jalen gardening. I looked at different classes that are available there, like acting classes. I had Jeremiah do some behind the scenes stage work just so he can get more with the acting. It's all kinds of classes out there that are available for homeschool children.
Even dance classes out there. Not Ivan. I'm thinking about your baby now, but the Alvin Ailey Dance Company had a lot of free classes out there throughout this pandemic, and there's still even more virtual things and things you can even pay for, that little sessions that you can get your child in. And I will going forward be dropping little nuggets and tips for parents and teachers here and there. So follow me on Instagram, that's butlers.all.in, or on Facebook, Butler's All In page. And I will be dropping little nuggets and tips for parents to, take and put in their arsenal to kind of help make this school year great.
Butlers.all.in on social media. You can follow Tanya Butler for all her tips. Mother Patricia Lofton, over 95 churches throughout the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, and a Church of God in Christ. She said this is a wonderful show, good inspiration for parents at home for such a time as this, Tanya. All right, and then also Mother Julia Harper, our church mother, 83 years old, is on, and she doesn't type anything, but she wants you to know that she's on today.
Thank you, mothers.
All right, everybody, we're going to continue our conversation at the after party. So Tanya, stay on. You know what the after party is about, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so if you are not a Patreon member, I've already told you guys, I just started the Patreon membership this past week. And so let me give you ways to get in touch with Tanya, the Butlers, at butlersallin.com. Make sure you know that you can email her. She will reach back out to you. Say that the Kim Jacobs Show referred you, and you'll be able to get right in touch with her. Let me give you her website is www.butlersallin.com. Butlersallin.com. You definitely want to utilize these wonderful services, as the homeschool coach is available to help you right now to supplement if you're in public school and in private school or charter schools, and to help you devise the appropriate homeschool curriculum. Please subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. If you haven't done so, I'm encouraging you to do so today. And as Sean, I think, put up there, because she's a Patreon member, go sign up, $12 a month to be a part of the Patreon membership, patreon.com/the Kim Jacobs Show. The final comment that I'll put up here is join in on our Quest Church prayer line, which is Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30. Pastor Jacobs is going over all kinds of information regarding COVID statistics. This stuff is real, y'all. It's happening. It's not something we can just sweep under the rug. People are still passing away at all-time high record numbers. And so people need prayer. Their families need prayer. A lot of people are still contracting the disease. So go over 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083#. People said, I will be sharing this amazing resource with our Fayette Family Council page. Your information.
Thank you.
June said, thank you, Tanya. This is an important arsenal for saving our children for a better future as a people.
Right.
I will. Thank you. Congratulations, cuz. I can never leave a family member off, even if the show is supposed to end and then I see it at the last minute. I'm like, they'll be like, I know she saw my comment. I know. Okay. Thank you, cuz Selena, for coming on today. All right, everybody. I tried my best to get all of your comments in. You all have been so encouraging to my guests today, and she is glad to have you all in the studio audience. Close us out, Tanya, with any final words that you want to share. And we're going to see you tomorrow at 11 p.m. unless you're coming to the after party show.
Listen. Well, final words are just this. Let's go all in. Your kids deserve for you to go all in for their education. We got to do something different. Let's take it back to the old school, the old way, and where the parents are fully engaged and making sure that their kid gets everything they need to be successful.
There you have it, everybody. Have a great day and tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Tanya. Stay backstage.